Welcome you guys to this short video on software testing questions. This video will help you if you're preparing for an interview in software testing, or perhaps you're new to the industry and trying to learn the terminologies and understand how the test process works. This video is meant for you. This will be a series of many videos based around just basic, foundational, and advanced level software testing questions. So if you're not part of the community, please feel free to join, like and share and subscribe. That'll be much appreciated. So let's delve straight in. So first of all, why is internal testing more cost effective? So what we need to do first of all is understand what internal testing is. So internal testing are all those tests that is carried out during the development process, during and after the development process of a software or a component. Okay, so all the things that the tester, all those tester would run, from the integration testing to full end-to-end testing. Okay, and even developers as well, they are testing that they'll carry out, i.e. unit testing. These are a lot of examples of internal testing. And what makes it cheaper is that any bugs or defect that is found at this stage could be easily be rectified and fixed with limited and much smaller cost effect associated with it. The only reason is because whoever finds the bug could easily replicate it. It stops it from leading to more fatal or more serious failure in the software, and of course is addressed internally, which makes it more cheaper than if the software had gone live and the defect was found in the live environment. Obviously that will cost a lot more, because they'll have to worry more about things like, of course, the defects being raised in live and sent back to the relevant internal team, where they have to worry about replicating it, carrying out root cause analysis, find out what exactly went wrong in the live environment, and then now repeating the whole cycle again, from actually fixing the defect, retesting it, then actually sending it or releasing it to test environments where the same thing or same process is carried out again before it's now released into the live environment. So you can see the process is quite longer. So the longer it takes, the more expensive it gets. And not only that, we also have things like reputational damage that could have on the company or the vendor of that software. In a more controlled environment, like in the finance environment, there could be fines involved. Okay, in the medical environment, it could lead to fatalities. Okay, which could also end up leading to more serious consequences by the software to the software vendor. So you can see the internal testing is much cheaper in the long run. Okay, and external testing obviously cost a lot more. All right, so question number 2, what types of tests can be done as part of the test implementation activities? So first of all, we need to understand what test implementation activity is. So any activity that happens after the test analysis and design stage, okay, is a test implementation activity. So what does that mean? So things like, after we've designed our test cases already, all the things we need to check before we carry out our testing is an example of a test implementation activity. So an example of that is, for instance, the test environment we're testing on. Has it been set up correctly? Do we have the right modules in place? Can we run basic end-to-end test and check that the output we get is what is expected? Okay, do we have the correct profiles in place? Okay, and then for the test cases that we prepared, can we ensure that we have the relevant data to run those tests? We have the relevant repository ready and set up and ready for testing. Okay, so there are those things that we need to ensure that we have in place before we actually run the program, okay, in the test environment. Okay, so I've listed some of the activities that's associated with test implementation. Okay, question number 3, when can a software defect be closed? Now, this is a very straightforward one, but first of all, we need to understand the process involved. So first of all, as a tester, when you find a defect, you raise a defect report, right? And that defect report is then assigned to a developer, who is usually the developer that last worked on that program or module, okay? And then the developer would actually investigate the problem. They'll try and reproduce it following the test report you've raised, or the tester has presented. And then once they can replicate that issue, then they can now debug the program and then fix the issue and then retest it themselves. They carry out their own unit testing, and then that is then released to the test environment. Then once it's dropped in the test environment, the same tester, or it could be another tester, would then rerun the test that failed initially, which is known as confirmation testing, which is a repeat of the previous test that failed, and check that it now passes. Okay, and then secondly, they'll run what is called a regression testing. So in that case, they'll run certain modules that are aligned or that are related to this particular feature and ensure that they are still working. Because the open regression is to ensure that once a change is made, we want to check that it has not impacted on other areas. Okay, so if we change module A, for example, if the developer had fixed module A or designed the module A, we want to ensure that module B and C, or maybe a good example is module C. We want to ensure that module B and A were not impacted by this change. Okay, those are the two tests that is carried out. First of all, confirmation testing or confirmation test to ensure that the defect or the issue that was raised has been fixed. Then a regression test to ensure that other similar modules were not impacted by this change or update. Then question number 4, the activity where you start creating your test cases is this is known as the test design and test analysis activity. Okay, so if you want to know more about the test process, you can check my first software testing question video, which is part of this series. That will give you a more overview of the test process. Okay, just as a high level, first of all, we have the test analysis, we have the test design, we have the test implementation, we have the test execution, and test reporting. Okay, then lastly, who else aside from the test team is involved in the test process? So basically everyone involved in a particular project are somehow directly or indirectly involved in the test process. The testers are directly involved because obviously they will write and execute their testing. Okay, the business team are somehow involved because they need to ensure that the tests that are being run actually satisfies the requirements or the business requirements for a particular project. And obviously they're also the go-to people for the testers. So if they have any business related questions to understand how a particular function or feature of a product should work, they're the ones to go to. And they're also interested in other questions or other areas that they might have overlooked in their requirements. So they work collaboratively with the testers to ensure that all of these areas are ironed out. Now the development team also are involved because whenever I run our test, they want to add on standby to ensure that any defect that is found can be quickly investigated and fixed and turned around so that the testers can carry on their testing. The project management or the project sponsor who are responsible for sponsoring the whole project, they have milestones to hit, they have a deadline. They want to ensure that, of course, the testers have found the defects related to the product, that quality risk has not been compromised, and also ensure that they're able to meet the deadline. So if there's a specific timeline to ship the product, their job is to ensure that they monitor that correctly and ensure that that deadline is met and is not affected in any way, and anything they have to do to ensure that testing carries on and is not stalled by a particular issue, that is what they'll do. Okay, so everybody involved in that project is directly or indirectly involved in the test process because they're equally interested in the outcome of the testing. Okay, and they all work collaboratively for the success of that project. Okay, I hope you've learned something here today. If you haven't already, please subscribe to my channel to watch more exciting and informative videos like this. If you're new to software testing and you'd like to take a training, please check my website www.learnsoftwaretestng.com for your training courses, especially foundation level in software testing training, and also the software testing bootcamp. So anyone that wants a hands-on practical experience in software testing, where we actually be testing a live system, then that training is also very, very good and would help you a great deal. Okay, so thank you so much, guys.